Hi guys, this is Frankie from aboutscript, and in this video we're going to be learning how to develop websites. This is going to be the first video in a somewhat long series, and we're going to be learning about HTML in this video. So if you haven't seen the setup video, click here to see that. There's a little box here I've created for you, and this is actually created with some HTML and some CSS. We'll be learning how to make things like the text inside of it and make boxes, but we're not going to get into styling until the next video, which is like the green edges and, well, having edges at all. So we're going to learn from the basics. We're going to start with nothing, and let's dive right in. You're going to want to have your server set up like we did in the last video, but if you don't, this is probably the last video that it's okay to not have it done. You can get through about 2 more after this without having your server set up, but this is, if you want to procrastinate, you're sort of at your end here. If you don't have it set up, we're going to be creating an HTML file. Just double click on it in your file manager and it'll open in your web browser. So right now you should be able to go to your site, wherever you have your stuff loaded, and you should have this, as long as you've created a folder for it. If you haven't created a folder for it, go ahead and do that now. Now, we need to move on to our project. So we're going to open up WebStorm. If you're not using WebStorm, create a new file called index.html in the folder, but we're going to be using this for now. So I'm just going to specify the folder that I put it in. Not that I have anything there yet. Okay. And so now we just have an empty project. There's no files or anything except some stuff that WebStorm uses. It's in a hidden folder. So we're going to go right click on tutorial, then hit new, or whatever you're naming your thing, and then click HTML file and type index. Now, most file names, you can have a blargle, fargle, schnargle, margle.html file. They don't have any special meaning, but most web servers use index.html to show when you don't specify an HTML file. So you notice we just have the slash here after that, which means the root of the directory. You could have blarg slash, and that means the root of the blar directory. But when you don't have something.html, what it first does is it looks for something called index.html, and they can both be found at the same URL. So we have a bunch of code here, and that's great, but we want to learn how to do this ourselves. So press delete. So the first thing you saw there was the doc type. I'm actually going to leave that in because I don't know how to spell doc type. As silly as it might sound, I usually just copy and paste from something because I use HTML and I know the basics. So it's usually okay to use templates at that point, but we're going to learn the basics here. So what doc type HTML means is we're using some new fancy technology in HTML5, so we want browsers to know that we're not still stuck in the 70s or 80s or whatever the other doc types refer to in time periods. HTML is the newest doc type. It refers to HTML5, which probably means nothing to you right now, but you will learn a lot about it in these videos. Now, we're not going to talk too much about that one because it's sort of a rebel in HTML. We're going to start with the actual HTML tag. Okay, so what I did here is I put an opening bracket. This is the less than symbol. I can zoom in here, I believe, but I'm not entirely sure how to do it. What the opening bracket does is, let me 1 second here. We're actually going to edit this in Vim just so you guys can see it a little better because I know how to work a terminal, but I don't know how to change the file size, font size there. So we're just going to boost this up so it's visible. Okay. All right, so we just have that index.html. Hope you guys can see this. It's not too small. So what we have is we just have this opening bracket, closing bracket, and some stuff in between. Now, HTML is one of the tags. It doesn't have anything else. It's just the name. And whenever you open a tag, you have to close the tag. So we do the opening bracket for this tag, then we do a slash, which means I'm closing something, and then HTML. So This is the start of the HTML tag right here, and then it ends right here. And then everything in between can be said to be inside or a child of this HTML tag. Moving forward, we're going to put some stuff inside of that. So the HTML tag needs to have two tags directly inside of it. And I say need because it's a requirement. HTML mandates that you do this, although usually you can get away with not doing it if you really want to rebel, and browsers will still show your page. Okay, so you see we added two more sets of these opening and closing tags. The head tag, which displays it holds a bunch of information on your page, but the browser shows it to the user in various ways. The body tag is what's actually going to be shown to the user. So like on my little example thingy I made here, this text and the boxes, and the browser or the body tag basically means everything from here down. And the head tag includes things like what to put in the title of the page and all sorts of things like that. So inside our head tag, we're going to put another tag. This tag's called title. And we're going to put inside the title tag just some plain text. HTML is awesome. Okay, so now our page has a title. And in the body, we're going to put, look at me, I'm a body. Okay, this is a basic HTML page. It has, I believe, everything you need in an HTML page, although I could be forgetting something. So now what we have to do is go back to our browser, and you see right now it's just showing me this index, which is what you get when you don't have an index.html file. It just lists all the files in the directory. But now we're going to refresh it, and then we have our page. You notice up here it says HTML is awesome because that's what we put for our title. If you're on Internet Explorer or another browser, you'll often see it in the menu bar. I believe I can turn back on the menu bar, and you see we see it up here right before the name of the browser. In the body is where our body stuff goes, and you may be looking at this and saying, that's a lot of white. This is a very basic page. That's what HTML is. When you just see text, that's HTML. It doesn't do a whole lot with how things look. We're going to be getting into that in our next video with something called CSS. But we're just going to throw a few more tags in there. Let me just see, I have a little plan outlined here, things I wanted to speak about. So we have the structure of tags. We haven't talked about attributes and some common tags, and then we'll get into CSS in our next video. So some common things that you can do are group things. So we can put some more tags, like we'll put a div, which is your basic container, general purpose. You put stuff in it, and we're just going to separate this into two different lines. So you see each one of these has stuff inside it, and a lot of times you'll put other elements inside a div. Like maybe you'll have a div with like a block of like an area of your page on it or something, or you'll have a big container div and then have space on either side, like a lot of sites do. Like see here, this might be one div, and then on the side we have space and space. It's used for things like that, for centering things and all sorts of stuff like that. But we want to add some attributes to it. Now, these attributes aren't going to do anything right now, but we're going to explain them when we get to CSS. I can't think of anything that I would use as a practical attribute, because usually attributes are for the other languages like CSS and JavaScript to interact with. So we're going to give our div a class of awesome. And then in our next video, we're going to learn how we can style things, like style awesome, different than other divs and stuff like that. But an attribute is you name something. Let me just pull up the update version. You give the name of the attribute. In this case, the name is class. Then you use an equal sign, and then you quote the value. If you want to add another attribute, what you can do is you just put a space after this one. So we're going to come in here, and we're also going to give it an ID. ID sub repetition. And yes, I spelled that wrong, and no, I don't really care that much. But so now we have our class, and that's equal to the quoted value awesome. And we have an ID equal sign quote repetition. Okay, repetition. Okay, so that's our ID. And then you have stuff inside of it, which can be text, or as you see, we had our body, which we just put text in before, but you can also put other elements inside of that. So it's just this basic layout, and then you learn more and more HTML elements as we go along. I'm not just going to go through all of them right now. I believe in learning by example. So we're going to come up with examples of things that we need to work on, and we're going to learn HTML tags that way while we're doing other things as well. So I hope this video was helpful in learning just the basic structure of HTML tags. I'm not expecting you to do anything more than this. This is all you should have right now. It shouldn't be fancy. It shouldn't be anything crazy. We're just starting at the basics. So continue watching in the next video about CSS, which will be coming out very soon, and I will look forward to teaching you more. Thanks.